My wife said, marriage is unpaid labor, so I made her labor for her own paycheck. Invoice delivered as requested. Update 2. When I got home from work that evening, she was waiting for me in the kitchen with her arms crossed. The papers I'd given her that morning were spread across the counter like evidence in a courtroom. We need to talk, she said, using that tone that usually meant I was supposed to apologize for something. Sure, I replied, loosening my tie. Are you ready to make your first payment, or do you need to set up a payment plan? Her face turned red. Stop this nonsense right now. You know this isn't what I meant when I talked about unpaid labor. Really? Because you seemed pretty clear yesterday. You calculated your hours, assigned them a value, and demanded compensation. I'm just following your lead. You picked up the invoice and waved it at me. This is manipulation. No, I said calmly. This is accountability. You wanted to treat our marriage like a business transaction. Welcome to business. She threw the papers down. Fine, if that's how you want to play it, I'll stop doing everything. No more cooking, no more cleaning, no more laundry. Let's see how you like that. I shrugged. Your choice, but the rent is still due, and since you won't be providing domestic services anymore, I'll need to hire someone to replace you. I'll just add those costs to your monthly bill. The confidence in her eyes flickered. You can't charge me rent in my own home. Actually, I can. You wanted to be treated like a business partner instead of a wife. Business partners pay their share of operational costs. You contribute about 30% of our household income, so you're responsible for 30% of all expenses. I walked to the refrigerator and grabbed a beer. Oh, and since you're not cooking anymore, you'll need to handle your own meals. I've calculated that your share of the grocery budget was about $120 weekly. You can either contribute that amount or buy and prepare your own food separately. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. This is insane. This is fair, I corrected. You established the precedent. Marriage is a business arrangement now. Remember? Everyone pays their own way. The next morning, I woke up to find she'd made coffee for herself, but not for me. Her little act of rebellion. I made my own coffee and started implementing phase 2 of my plan. I created a shared document on our phones, titled Household Services Account. Every time I did something that benefited both of us, I logged it, took out the trash, $5, fixed the leaky faucet, paid the mortgage service fee of $15, grocery shopping for household items, $10 shopping fee. By the end of the week, her account showed she owed me $3,237, while she'd contributed exactly $0 in services. What is this? She demanded, looking at her phone over breakfast. You're running tab. Since we're itemizing everything now, I thought you'd want to see how the books balance. She scrolled through the charges, getting more agitated with each line item. You charge me for taking out the trash, waste management service. If you hired someone to do it, that's what it would cost per week, and $15 for paying the mortgage processing fee. Banks charge them, so do I. She slammed her phone down. This is ridiculous. Then stop treating our marriage like a business, I said, finishing my coffee. Go back to being my wife instead of my business partner and all these charges disappear. But she was too stubborn to back down. No, I deserve to be compensated for my contribution. Payment is due by Sunday or I'll have to suspend certain services. The look of panic that crossed her face told me she was finally starting to understand the game she'd started, but she still wasn't ready to surrender. Sunday came and went without payment. Monday morning I started the service suspension protocol. When she went to use her laptop, the internet password had been changed. When she tried to watch her morning show, the streaming services were blocked on her profile. Her car keys were nowhere to be found. Where are my keys? She demanded, standing in the doorway as I ate my breakfast. Your transportation services have been temporarily suspended due to account delinquency, I replied without looking up from my phone. I have to get to work. Uber's pretty reliable. There's always the bus. Both accept payment, unlike some people I know. She stood there sputtering for a full 30 seconds before storming out to call a rideshare. The $40 round trip to work was going to sting, especially when she realized this was her new reality until she paid up. But instead of paying what she owed, she did something that told me she still didn't understand the situation she'd created. She called her sister. I could hear the conversation from the kitchen as she vented about how unreasonable I was being, how I was punishing her for standing up for herself, how I was being controlling and manipulative. Then I heard her sister's voice through the speaker. Wait, back up. You told him he owed you money for being his wife, for the unpaid labor I do around the house, and then he calculated what you'd owe him for everything he provides. There was a pause. Well, yes, but and now you're mad because his numbers are bigger than yours. You can't demand payment for marriage, and then get upset when someone shows you the real math.